Okay, hi everyone. My name is Jack Griffiths and it's my great pleasure to have been invited out to Italy to come and see the guys at Cornerstone. Now, unlike the other things I've been doing while I've been here, which is checking out some new products from Cornerstone, this is an old friend for me. I'm testing out the Imperium today, and this is kind of a little bit of a review, if you like, because I did a first impressions video of this pedal when it came out. And since then, since about a year ago, I've used this a lot and I've really got to know the Imperium very well. It's kind of, as I say, it's like my, it's almost like my safety blanket when it comes to overdrive pedals. So I have this on my pedal board, and in the time that I've been using it, I've come to understand how powerful it can be at giving me a kind of a nice, secure, safe kind of sound that I'm very comfortable with, and it doesn't really matter what kind of amplifier I'm using. And to make that point today, I'm using one of Emilio's amps in-house, which is this gorgeous old silver face Fender Bassman behind me, which you can't see, but it sounds fantastic. But it's not an amp that I know. It's very clean as well, and I like to have a sound that has a little bit of overdrive to it, not too much. But the great thing about the Gladio in particular, this right-hand side of the pedal, is that to me, I just know that whatever amp I choose to use, as long as I have a big, kind of strong, high headroom, clean sound, maybe with a little bit of edge to it, I can then use the Gladio to give me my foundation for that sound. And everything else I can do off the guitar volume. That's very, very important to me. And the Gladio, and indeed all of Emilio's pedals, allow me to do that. They allow me to be dynamic just by using the guitar. The other side of the pedal, the Antique, is one that took me a little bit longer to understand because I've never really been a kind of typical TS style overdrive kind of player, unless I was going for those traditional, almost cliche kind of Texas blues sounds, that kind of thing. But what I've learned with the Antique is that by using its extra controls and the option to change the compression and the mids to how I like them, again, I can use it to suit any guitar and any amplifier. And I've actually learned that it complements the Gladio side superbly. So the way I like to set it is typically I have the Gladio running into the Antique side, and obviously you have the option of both with this toggle switch in the middle. So I'm going to have the Gladio running into the Antique. Now what you heard at the start was me using the Gladio into a very clean amp. And then I'm going to use the Antique as just a little extra boost. And the nice thing for me is that neither of these, I don't use them with a lot of gain. You can see that the gain on the Antique is about 9 o'clock. The gain on the Gladio is about 10 o'clock. And I use about 10 o'clock on the clean control too. So what I get here is the Gladio is kind of like, it takes the sound and it does this. It makes it wider. It doesn't add compression. It just makes the sound a little bit bigger. The Antique side, I like to think of it then makes the sound go like this. It makes it kind of expand upwards. There's more compression, there's also more mid-range, but there's also a little bit more output volume too. And the two just work really, really nicely together. So before I show you the Cornerstone, I'll show you the dry tone so you can hear how much character is coming from this pedal, but in a really nice kind of natural way that just makes sense with the guitar and with the amp. So here's the clean tone. Okay, so that's the Gladio side. That to me just sounds like a great cranked amp. It's like I've taken this Bassman or an old Vox or a Marshall or any of those kind of amps that I love, and I've turned them up to 10, but I've managed to really nicely control and contain the sound. And that's really important to me because I always like to have a clean amp and then get my gain from pedals. And the reason for that is that it just makes it so much more flexible. I can play in a room like this where it's not crazy loud, and yet it sounds like the amp is being pushed to its limits in a really nice way. So that's the Gladio side. The other side, the Antique, I use a little bit differently. So let's switch over to that. And you'll hear it's lower gain. It has more compression though, and more mid-range, and also maybe a tiny bit more output volume. So here's how the Antique sounds. So that side, to me, the notes have more of a kind of like a snarl. It's more of a nasal kind of thing. That might be for you, that might not. The great thing is that if you don't like that traditional TS kind of sound, you have a couple of really powerful switches on here, the mids control and the comp control, and that can kind of allow you to really change the feel, as well as being able to have a lot more gain on tap if you like that kind of thing. But for me, this kind of sound just speaks really well when you have a lower gain, more volume, and actually a little bit more compression. It complements the Gladio side really, really nicely because this has this big, wide open thing. So when you stack them together and you have the Gladio into the Antique, as I'm going to show you now, you just get the most massive, but still really nice, smooth, friendly kind of guitar sound. This is a really big sound, but it just allows you to play in a very comfortable way. So let me show you how it sounds stacked together. So it has some sustain to it, for sure. And it also, just by varying the way that I pick and the pickup that I choose to use, it can go from this really nice kind of vocal, fluty kind of lead sound with the neck pickup, and then I go to the bridge, it's really tight, it's really articulate, I can start to play some heavier riffs. It's all right there, and all I have to do is just vary what I'm doing on the guitar, vary how I choose to play. The pedal can kind of remain untouched, and for me, that's the way I like to play. That's the way I like to use gear, and that's why, like I said earlier, the Cornerstone Imperium is kind of a nice safety blanket for me. I know that I can play any guitar, any amplifier, and it's just going to help me kind of express anything I want to musically. So that's my little review. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope it makes sense. If you want to check out the Imperium for yourself, or you have any further questions, drop a comment down below. But until next time, I'm going to keep enjoying the Imperium, and indeed many of the other fantastic Cornerstone pedals. So thank you very much for watching, take care, and I'll see you again soon. Thanks.